Well, let's talk what's going on in professional wrestling right now. Jack, this week we lost Brodie Lee. Uh, Talk to us about what had went on during all this.
Well, he had been the TNA champion, uh, up till just a few months ago. Had a great little feud with Cody Rhodes. Was the leader of the Dark Order, which is one of their big factions there, and he had been, from what I was reading today, he had been hospitalized for almost 2 months. So shortly after he dropped the championship to Cody and kind of disappeared off TV, he's been battling some serious health issues ever since then. Now, we have not been given the details, just that it's some kind of lung issue. He had been getting treatment at the Mayo Clinic, which is known for cancer. I'm not saying he had cancer, but you kind of inadvertently tie those two together. Now, my biggest thing is that AEW, both the company and everyone involved, kept a complete lid on everything that was going on. It's back in our day, respect of what went on behind the scenes was paramount. And people can say that kayfabe is dead or whatever, but these guys, AEW as a whole, showed not only kayfabe, but they showed complete respect for John and his family. And I think that if nothing else, they deserve a big round of applause for that, and some thanks. And this week's episode, the entire 2 hours, is supposed to be dedicated to matches in his honor. And they're going to just try to do things for him and his family, his two boys, during that the 2 hour episode. And usually I tape AEW. I make a joke about that, how I tape and fast forward through it. But I'll watch it live this week, and I hope maybe everybody else will too.
Yeah,
Just
show
to
a
show
little
the respect.
respect to him. That
Yeah,
was he was only 41 years old.
yeah,
Uh, Jim Ross spent the day, whole day with his son, with Brodie Lee's son, and so that was very good of Jim Ross to do so. I seen that on Instagram today, and that's a sad situation. It's a sad
yeah.
situation. 41 years old, and evidently he had been in the hospital for about 2 months, and that's a sad situation to see. Another wrestler that we lost was Danny Hodge. Danny Hodge was, I believe, he was 88 years old. Uh, any memories, Jack, that you can think of? I think we've come to the decision. Neither one of us, or any of us, have ever met Danny Hodge. We knew who he was. There's no doubt we knew who he was. Any kind of memories of Danny Hodge?
Well, I've heard of Danny Hodge all my life. He was in the magazines back in the day. He was a silver medalist in the Olympics. He was a All-American in amateur wrestling and boxing. He was the first amateur wrestler to ever make the front page of Sports Illustrated. These are huge accomplishments. And if you want to think about the greatness of a Kurt Angle in the modern day, Danny Hodge was that and more back in his day. And also everybody jokes about and he had that double tendons in his hands, and how he could crush apples, and how he would lay that handshake in a little bit just to see if you could take it. I saw somebody tell a story, read about the other day, about where they had done a deal where Danny had gotten beat in a match and gotten hurt. That was the story. So they sent two attendants down to get him out of the ring. And by the time they got to the back, both the attendants were crying because Danny had hooked into their shoulders so hard and was squeezing that it was all they could do to get back there. And Danny was just laughing. But he was so well respected inside our community and outside. Fans loved Danny Hodge, and they loved him for a reason. He was recognized on political levels for all the things that he did for his state and, for the sport, both amateur and professional. And Danny will be fondly remembered.
Rodney, any
My
memories?
my
Danny?
my first memories of him, he was the world junior champion, and it seemed like he was the world junior champion forever. And I have an email coming in, but he would seem like he was the world junior champion ever, and then the next time or forever, and then all of a sudden the next champion that I remember is Les Thornton. So it seemed like every time I think of the World Junior Championship, I always think of Danny Hodge, and he was a superstar throughout Oklahoma and Arkansas, Louisiana, just a tremendous star.
You know, Ole Anderson told a story. He was being trained to be a professional wrestler, and there was a lineup of people that you could pick to wrestle against. And so there was a lineup, and there was a bunch of big old dudes, and Ole decided, yeah, I'll take that little kid right there, that little man right there. I think I'll take him. Yeah, and that little man was Danny Hodge. Danny Hodge got him in the ring and hurt him 1,700 different ways. Ole would tell you that was the worst mistake I had ever made, ever in professional wrestling. They asked him, is there anybody that he could not beat in the ring? And he said, there's no doubt, Danny Hodge, because I did not beat him. And I was a whole lot younger than him, but he beat me so bad that I never wanted to get in the ring with Danny Hodge ever again. Danny Hodge could beat anyone, anytime, any place, anywhere. There was no one that could beat him. If he wanted to hold on to that World Junior title, I don't even think Les Thornton, as well as Les Thornton was, and as good as a wrestler he was, I still don't think he could have beat Danny Hodge. No. Danny Hodge would break the, he would break those what are the little
the pliers. He would break pliers and crush apples.
Yeah, and he did this actually for the bigwigs in Oklahoma. I think even to this day, you get like a Danny Hodge award in Oklahoma. Just a tremendous. He was just a tremendous wrestler. And if you don't know who he is, there is a book out that you can read about Danny Hodge and read about all the stuff that he did. And one day I think we'll get that book out, and we'll look at some of the things that he accomplished, and he accomplished a lot in professional wrestling. Something else that happened that I saw that Charlotte Flair has returned to the WWE, and I believe the first week, Jack, if I'm not mistaken, did she not win the WWE Tag Team Championship?
Yeah, with Asuka, sure did.
So Charlotte Flair is back. That is the one wrestler that I can say, lady wrestler, that I really enjoy watching because she's different than everyone else is. She actually takes her time, actually wrestles, and tries to tell a story. Am I correct about this, Rodney?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we saw that. Other things going on. Kenny Omega is actually going to wrestle on Impact Wrestling, may have already wrestled on Impact Wrestling. Jack, did you hear any news about this? How this
went? It's a co-promotion deal they have with Impact Wrestling. Certainly this is going to be more beneficial to Impact than AEW, but if you're a bigger company and you can help a smaller company to come up, yeah, you should be doing that instead of all this bitterness and infighting and backstabbing. I hate that. I've always hated that part. So yeah, they're doing some crossover things. They're going to be sending some guys from Impact, AEW. They're going to be working some storylines between both promotions, and I think intermingling some of their pay-per-views. So I think this will be beneficial, of course, more than just for the companies, but for the fans that have been clamoring to see some of these guys, back and forth. Anyway.
Well, we will see what happens with that. We'll also see what they do with Sting in the upcoming months. Another story, and then we'll move on, but another story I really wanted to talk about is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho was on AEW, and I guess he was at the beginning of the show right after the NBA playoffs on TNT. Rodney, did you hear about all the negativity that Chris Jericho received after this?
Who is this that we speak of? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, so that I can explain this, Chris Jericho, let's just be honest, does not have the physique that he once had. It's just, we can put that out there. I don't think anybody is going to get mad at us for saying this. All you have to do is put two pictures together, and it's not the same. And he has kind of a pot belly on him now. And the fans were brutal on Instagram and Twitter on poor Chris Jericho. Now, Chris Jericho has came back, and he's very upset with those fans about this. Jack, what's your thoughts about that? What's your thoughts about the Chris Jericho situation?
Well, the majority of these fans are not wrestling fans that have been commenting. These were the NBA fans who got caught up into the end of the game, and the wrestling came on, and so they hung around for a little bit. And here we see Chris Jericho. Now, I think even Chris has talked about, he's 50 years old. You're not going to be in the same shape at 50 as you were when you were 20. There's just no way. Now, as far as in-ring shape, though, Chris Jericho is got as good a physique as anybody in the industry right now. And he can still work at a high level, which is, there's a lot of 20-year-olds that can't work at a high level. So, I think it's ignorance. I think it's a good bit of showing what our society has become about shaming people for what they look down at. It's disappointing. If they had just watched the match, I think they would have seen that the Jericho that they remembered is still that Jericho. He can still get in there. He can still perform. He can still interact, and he can still get you going. And I agree with Jericho on this part. It was not fair. It wasn't nice. It shouldn't have been done.
Yeah, I read some of the comments about him, and I felt like, man, these people are brutal on him. But let me play a little devil advocate on this, though. Does it make your company, when people remember someone as a, let's say a Sting, or they remember, and I'm going to ask Rodney this question, when you remember what a Sting looked like and what he was able to do, and when you know a Chris Jericho and you do remember what he used to be, does it hurt your business when the people kind of look at a guy and they go, ooh, he does not look the way I remember him look? Does it make those fans turn off the TV because they don't want to see that guy that way? Rodney, I'll ask you that question.
If the people view you that way, that's your fault. It is always, you have to reinvent yourself year after year after year. You can't be doing the same thing. I'll give you an example. Brad Armstrong, sometimes we're still doing the same interview at 18 than he was at 28. You can't be doing that. You have to evolve. And that means even in your body. If I was Jericho, I would have took complete advantage of the situation. I mean, I would have enhanced me over that. You people don't know what great physiques look like. All right. That's the problem with you right now. Look at this body right here. And I mean, just work it up. I would be out there next week in posing tights and doing the posing for next week. This is what you people pay to see. You know you love it. I'd work it up. I mean, and this is able to take something and use it to your advantage. And I would. And yes, every year, doesn't matter who you are, 5, 10 years, you always reinvent yourself. And this is this is a key. It's absolutely a key of being able to stay over year after year after year.
Well, we all know what Chris Jericho can do, and our society wants to make fun of everybody these days, and that's the shame of what's going on. I'm pretty sure there's people who make fun of us as well, and it's kind of shame that we're doing that in these days and times. Folks, if you're watching us, if you're enjoying what we're doing, give us that big thumbs up and subscribe to the page. And it lets us know that you like what we're doing.